They arrested me on my own land, cuffed me, shoved me into a cruiser, and acted like I was some trespasser trying to break into a property I'd owned since Eisenhower was president. 62 years old, holding the original deed to my family's lakefront cabin, and Sheriff Halverson, a smug, sunburnt man who looked like he'd spent more time grilling burgers than reading the law, told me I'd fit the description. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. 3 years earlier, I buried my wife, Joni. Liver cancer hit her fast and left faster. You don't recover from something like that. Not really. We'd planned to spend our last years together at our place on Clearpoint Lake, feeding the birds, watching the leaves turn, maybe watching grandkids run barefoot on the dock. Instead, I spent 2 years in a haze, trying to breathe in a house that suddenly felt way too quiet. I stayed away from the cabin for a while, couldn't bring myself to go back, not with all those memories tucked into every creaky floorboard and spoon chim Joni ever hung. But something pulled me back eventually, a whisper in my chest, maybe her voice, telling me it was time. When I drove up that old dirt road, something felt off. There was a gate now. Fancy, black iron with one of those little kiosks where some teen in a polo shirt buzzes you in. Lakeshore Heights, it said. The lake was still there, sure, still quiet, still beautiful, but the land. All the soil had been bulldozed flat and paved over with pastel-colored cottages and overpriced landscaping. But my cabin, the Walker place, still stood, tucked just far enough from the development that the trees still spoke when the wind came through. First couple days were peaceful, almost like old times. Then came Savannah. She knocked on my door wearing pearls and perfume like she was heading to a garden club meeting, holding a Tupperware of cookies I'm 100% sure she didn't bake. Welcome to the community, she said with this Stepford smile. I'm on the Lakeshore Heights board, and we just wanted to drop off some info on our HOA policies. I told her politely, Ma'am, this cabin's been in my family since '59. My wife and I built half of it with our own hands. I'm not part of any HOA. That smile twitched a little, but she just said, well, we like to keep the neighborhood cohesive. Let us know if you need any help keeping up with expectations. I shut the door with a thank you and tossed the pamphlet straight in the trash. But that was just the opening move. The next week, I got a notice tagged to a tree. Property violation, overgrown lawn. My lawn, mind you, is a wild patch of native grass and daisies. Joni called it her big garden. $75. Then came another fine dock rails, not up to code. Another 100. Then, a real kicker, non-compliant paint color. Cedar brown. The same damn color it had been since 1971. That's when I realized, this wasn't just about lawn length. They were trying to push me out. And that's the part they got wrong. They thought I'd fold. See, before I retired, I spent 30 years tracking white-collar crime for the Treasury. Bank fraud, zoning scams, corporate shell games. I know what slow-pressure corruption looks like. This had fingerprints all over it. So I started watching. Recording. Installed trail cams up in the trees, kept copies of every violation, every note, every strange car that slowed in front of my property. And the more I dug, the uglier it got. Turns out, this HOA was just a front. Lakeshore Heights wasn't even zoned as a legal governing body until a year after Joni died. The land was bought out piece by piece by a shell company, and guess who sat on the board? Grant Lattimore. That name rang a bell because Joni used to talk about him. She was investigating pollution in the lake before she got sick, illegal dumping, fish dying off, kids with rashes. Lattimore was building a resort nearby back then and had been pressuring locals to sell cheap. Joni thought she was onto something. She had samples, records, even test results. Then, she got sick. Fast. Too fast. I found her notebook buried behind the cabin's headboard, her handwriting, sharp and furious, name circled in red ink. Savannah's name was there. So was Halverson's. Joni knew. And they knew she knew. I called a contact from my treasury days, Claire Duncan, now FBI. Told her what I had. She said, "You've got smoke. I need fire." So I baited the trap. I called Savannah, told her I might be ready to sell, acted like a tired old man finally giving up the fight. She practically chirped through the phone. Said she had investors interested, I should meet them. We met at some overpriced steakhouse downtown. Grant Lattimore showed up with loafers shinier than my truck and a handshake like a politician. He didn't even pretend to be subtle. "This area's on the brink of transformation," he said, sipping some $80 glass of red. "We just need the last few holdouts to step aside." I smiled and nodded. And recorded every damn word. 2 days later, I dropped a packet off with Claire, the audio, Joni's files, copies of the forged HOA documents. Then came the revenge. One morning, I'm out back repairing the dock, and 2 cruisers pull up. Sheriff Halverson climbs out with Savannah behind him, fanning herself with a fake concerned look on her face. "We've received a complaint that you're trespassing, Mr. Walker." "Trespassing?" I said. "On my land. You're not listed as owner," he smirked, holding up a printed deed completely fake. They cuffed me. In front of my own mailbox. I kept calm, though, because I knew what was coming. What none of them knew was that one of my neighbors, a teenager who walks his dog past my place every morning, caught the whole thing on video. Posted it online. And within 12 hours, it exploded. #Justice for Joni. Thousands of shares. News vans outside the jail before they even booked me. Protest in front of the HOA office. Claire got the federal warrant pushed through faster than I've ever seen in my life. They raided Lattimore's offices. Seized documents, computers, hard drives. Turns out, the pollution Joni was investigating. Real. And worse than we thought. Chemicals dumped for years, hidden by fake reports. Joni's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a consequence. Savannah cracked within a week. Played out for leniency. Lattimore disappeared, but not before the feds froze his accounts. Halverson. He's under grand jury investigation. They tried to bury my wife's legacy. But she left breadcrumbs. The cabin burned down a month later, arson, no doubt. But they didn't know Joni had buried a fireproof box under the willow tree. Inside, everything. Copies of everything she'd collected. Joni was always 2 steps ahead. We used the evidence to push a federal land seizure. The old development's been dismantled. The lake's under EPA protection now. And the land. I bought it back. Every last acre. Turned it into the Joni Walker Conservation Preserve. No resorts. No golf carts. Just trees, water, and silence. These days, I sit on the rebuilt porch with my coffee, wind moving through the reeds, knowing Joni got the last word after all. But here's the thing that still keeps me up sometimes. What if that teenager hadn't filmed it? What if no one believed me? What if I hadn't known how to fight? How many other folks get buried quietly, no camera, no outcry, just swallowed by the system? So yeah, we won this one. But I'm not so sure we're done. What would you have done if it were your wife? Your land? Was I right to bait them? Was justice really served? I'm curious to hear what you think. Drop a comment. Let's talk about it.